सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। We'll chant chapter 3, Bhagavad Gita, verses 33 to 40.
सदृशं चेष्टते स्वस्याः प्रकृतिज्ञानवानपि प्रकृतिं यान्ति भूतानि निग्रहः किं करिष्यति इन्द्रियस्येन्द्रियस्यार्थे रागद्वेषौ व्यवस्थितौ तयोर्नवशमागच्छेत् तौ ह्यस्य परिपन्थिनौ श्रेयान् स्वधर्मो विगुणः परधर्मास्वनुष्ठितात् स्वधर्मे निधनं श्रेयः परधर्मो भयावहः। अर्जुन उवाच अनकेन प्रयुक्तोऽयं पापं चरति पूरुषः अनिच्छन्नपि वाष्णेय बलादिव संयोजितः। श्रीभगवानुवाच काम एष क्रोध एषः रजो गुणसमुद्भवः महाशनो महापाप्मा विद्येनमिह वैरिणम् धूमेनाव्रियते वह्निः यथादर्शो मलेन च यतोऽल्पेनावृतो गर्भः तथा तेनेदमावृतम् आवृतं ज्ञानमेतेन ज्ञानिनो नित्यवैरिणा कामरूपेण कौन्तेय दुष्पूरेणानलेन च इन्द्रियाणि मनोबुद्धिः अस्याधिष्ठानमुच्यते एतैर्विमोहयत्येषः ज्ञानमावृत्य देहिनम्.
So Arjuna asked in the beginning of this chapter 3, he had confusion between knowledge and action because Sri Krishna was praising knowledge but asking Arjuna to do the action. So he said, if you are praising knowledge, why should I choose action? Then Sri Krishna said, for the people who are contemplative in nature, they are more suitable for knowledge. For the people who are active, they have to follow action. And the fact that you are an active person, action is being recommended for you. Right? So then he said, the reason as to why one should act, the logical, intellectual explanation as to why one should act, that was given from verse 4 to 19. He appealed to Arjuna's intellect. And then from 20 to 24, he appealed to Arjuna's emotions, telling him through appealing to his emotion, you should act. He used Arjuna's devotion to King Janaka and many other people like him. And then he also tried to persuade Arjuna, maybe you are not interested, but in the interest of the world, you should do. Persuasion he used, and then he used Arjuna's vanity. You are a leader, Arjuna, so you should do. People will follow what you do, not what you say. And then he said, I also follow because I am also looked upon by the people. So he gives a personal example and he requests Arjuna from that angle. And then he induces fear and threat, telling the consequences of you and me withdrawing from this battle and not doing our obligatory duty. What would be the consequence? This he spoke till 24. 25 to 35 is the topic where the technique of right action is given. And we did up to 32 yesterday. So here, sorry, all he was saying is that ignorant people, they do not know anything about the self or higher, nothing they know. So they are terribly attached to the actions in the world. They are terribly attached to the action and the results. So the wise person should not unsettle the minds of the ignorant. Rather, the wise person should set an example, doing the right action, attracting the ignorant people to come towards the right action. Are you with me? So don't lecture, but do the action, set an example, attract them. Never unsettle the minds of the ignorant, because the gunas will be overriding them. They will be attracted to people, environment, everything according to their gunas. So therefore do not force them, do not confuse them, you just act. That's all he said. And then he gave the technique of right action in verse number 30. Technique of right action or an ideal action encompasses two main aspects. One is, an ideal action should generate energy and it should avoid dissipation of energy. So he said your intellect must pitch up a higher goal and your mind must surrender to that goal and your body must act in that direction. Mai sarvani karmani sanyasya adhyatma chetasa nirashi nirmamo bhutva yudyasva vigata jvaraha. So adhyatma chetasa means your intellect must pitch up a higher goal. Here he is talking about the Atma, the highest. But whatever higher goal you can conceive of beyond your body, mind, intellect, you should set that and pursue that. Right? So intellect should pitch a goal, and mai sarvani karmani sanyasya means your mind should surrender to that goal. Then yudyasva, act dynamically. In the context, though it is yudyasva means fight, in the context you got to do your duty, do your action. On the battlefield, Arjuna is supposed to do the action. So he says dynamically act. And then this is all going to produce energy, generate energy. Because the greater the goal, the greater the energy. Then he comes to the second aspect, which is avoiding dissipation in the lower channels, unproductive channels. What are they? Past, present and future. Worries of the past, excitement in the present, and anxiety of the future. So he says nirashi, no anxiety of the future. Nirmama, no worries of the past. Then vigata jvaraha means without the feverish doing, excitement. Learn from the past, plan for the future, prepare in the present and plunge doing the action without attachment to the result. This is how a wise person will do. Unwise will be attached. Wise person will not be attached. But when you look at externally, the wise person is also acting in the world as if the person is dependent upon it, but not at all dependent. Then in 31 he said, those who follow this constantly with Shraddha, without criticizing it, they get liberated from the chain of action. Vasana, thought, desire, action, producing Vasana. They become free from the chain of action. Others, those who do not follow the higher direction, they go in the lower direction, dissipating their energy and getting ruined. This much we have seen. Now we will read 33.
Sadrisham cheshtate swasyaha prakrite jnanavanapi prakritim yanti bhutani nigraha kim karishyati.
Even a man of knowledge acts in accordance with his own nature. Sadrisham cheshtate swasyaha prakrite jnanavanapi. Jnanavan means knowledgeable person. A person who's got knowledge. Even a man of knowledge acts in accordance with his own nature, propelled by vasanas and desires. Beings follow their nature. All beings are controlled by their vasanas and gunas. What can restraint do? Nigraham kim karishyati. You know, when you read this shloka, That is correct only what, you say. Then what is the point? We will be forced to act according to our vasanas. We have wasted 4 days, now 5th day also we are wasting listening to this talk. You got to be careful when a great master using certain words in a context, we need to pause and reflect a little bit. What he's trying to say is, even a person who's got good amount of knowledge, right, may be forced to act propelled by the vasanas, forced by the vasanas. Why? Because the knowledge has to establish itself as wisdom. There is a gap between knowledge and wisdom. Wisdom immediately puts it into practice. See, when you are climbing a mountain and when you reach the cliff, will you take one more step? You are climbing a mountain and you have reached the cliff. Why will you take one more step when you know that you have reached the cliff? You understand? Immediately it will correspond with action simultaneously. Otherwise, you say I know and you are taking one more step which you really don't know. So what he is trying to say is, see, we discussed prarabdha and purushartha when we talked about law of karma and law of destiny in the lecture when we did impeccable laws of life, right? There I said prarabdha you've been gathering from the past and in the present you are putting the effort. So you have created a certain habit for so many years, right? And you know, for example, say nail biting, right? You know you should not bite the nails. You know you should not smoke. Knowledge is there, but the vasana is too powerful. So you, even though you choose not to, somehow you end up doing that action. So he says, even a man of knowledge acts in accordance with his own nature. Especially you come to these classes, now these 5 days you attend, and then you start attending weekly classes, and then 3 years, 4 years passes, and you are still, having certain past habits, short-temperedness or whatever. Somebody came and spoke to me, right, about the short-temperedness, etc. Then your family is watching you. Kya fayda? 5 saal you are attending classes. Abhi bhi gussa aa raha hai. You understand? And you also get a decision. Because you are also seeing, I also know that, and these people are pointing that, and you get more agitated, right? But you must understand, I need time, patience, I need to put in effort consistently. It will slowly get converted into wisdom. Till such time, I need to not drop my sadhana. I must continue my sadhana. Results will come, never become result oriented. So he says, even a man of knowledge acts in accordance with his own nature, with his own vasanas, prakriti. Beings follow their nature because it's been gathered from so many years and janmas. So therefore he says, what can restraint do? You should not force yourself. Anything forced is never forceful. You understand? Anything forced is never forceful. Therefore the idea is not to force it and push it into your subconscious. You should rise over that. So what should you do? Please continue.
Indriyasyendriyasyate ragadveshau vyavasthitau tayo navashamagache tau yasya paripanthinau.
Attachment and aversion, likes and dislikes for objects of the senses abide in the senses. Let none come under the dominion of these two. These two means likes and dislikes. For they are one's enemies. Paripanthinau. Now from this shloka onwards, in 4 different places including this, he will say likes and dislikes, desires are your enemies. Likes and dislikes, desires are your enemies. Right? We are trying to conquer enemies outside in many different places. Right? But before trying to conquer the enemies outside, you got to conquer this enemy sitting within. And this likes and dislikes, we have been feeding from childhood. Right? And all our relationships, parents, our spouse, our children, everybody has been constantly feeding these likes and dislikes. All of us are feeding each other's likes and dislikes. And now it is grown to a monstrous proportion. You understand? It becomes very difficult. So he says, first understand where the likes and dislikes are. It is within you, not there in the object. Because if it was in that object, what you like, everybody must like. What you dislike, everybody must dislike. And what you like, you must always like also. What you dislike, you must always dislike also. But that's not the case. What you like, others don't like some people. What you dislike, somebody else like it. Right? So therefore, it is not outside, it is within you. And the force is within you. Are you with me? When this force is within you, instead of forcefully trying to deny that, what you do is intelligently give them a direction. He says, therefore, tayoho vasham na agachet. He says, do not come under the dominion of likes and dislikes. There's nothing wrong. You are born and brought up in Punjab, maybe you grew up in Punjab for many years. So you may have a particular set of likes and dislikes. I come from South India. I may have a particular set of likes and dislikes. What is wrong in likes and dislikes per se? Nothing wrong in likes and dislikes per se. Right? Therefore, you don't have to forcefully get rid of your likes and dislikes. All you need to do is, you should not come under the dominion of your likes and dislikes. Should not come under the dominion of your likes and dislikes. Nothing wrong, whatever set of likes and dislikes you may have. At any level. Right? So, just make sure using your buddhi, you don't come under the dominion of your likes and dislikes. Because if you do, please understand, they are your enemy. They will tell, go from outside. The world is also, from inside. And the world is also tempting from outside. Then you go and there will come a time when you do not know how to get out. Isn't that what happens to all of us? We like it, we go, we get addicted. We do not know how to get out. Right? So therefore he says from the beginning itself, do not come under the dominion of likes and dislikes. Then what am I supposed to do? How do we proceed in our life? He beautifully explains in the next shloka.
Shreyan swadharmo vigunaha paradharmat svanushtita swadharme nidhanam shreyaha paradharmo bhayavaha.
This is one of the most important oft-quoted shlokas. But many people don't understand these kind of shlokas, and they don't, first of all, they have not read. And even if they read, they may not understand it correctly. You need to clearly understand these things. It's very, very important. How to rise above the likes and dislikes. Right? Instead of fighting with it, instead of forcing and trying to deny that. He says, he uses two words here. Swadharma and paradharma. Shreya. Shreya word you have again many times read. Shreya means good, better. Shreya swadharmo vigunaha. Better is swadharma. Dharma means nature, duty. Swadharma means one's own nature, one's own duty. Right? So he says, better is swadharma, one's own nature, one's own duty, though devoid of merit. Vigunaha, even though it's devoid of merit. And then he says, paradharmat swanushtita. Rather than following paradharma. Paradharma, dharma again nature, para means alien, somebody else's. Rather than following somebody else's nature. Paradharmo swanushtita. Well discharged. You might do paradharmic activity and do it much better. But still it's better to be in swadharma, he says. Why? Swadharme nidhanam shreya. It goes to the extent of saying, better to die in swadharma. Performing swadharma, it is better you die. I means not commit suicide. Performing swadharma, you might die also. Till that time you got to continue. Especially in the case of Arjuna, he is on the battlefield. What is this swadharma? Kshatriya. Right? Being a Kshatriya and being on the battlefield, he may die. It is better do that and die. And then he says, paradharmo bhayavaha. Functioning doing paradharmic activity is fraught with fear. Paradharma is fraught with fear. See, luckily we have talked about the caste system and everything, how the Shastras envisioned the caste system and everything in the previous classes. Everyone is a combination of Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. And this permutation combination of Sattva, Rajas makes a person Brahmin or Kshatriya, Vaishya or Shudra, and nobody is superior, nobody is inferior. Right? And according to this permutation combination of Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, their vasanas will be inclined towards a particular field. Right? That is natural. Right? It is like tailwind. You understand? When the aircraft is flying between one destination and another, sometimes when it returns, it may come 15 minutes early, 10 minutes early, though the distance is same. Why? They say tailwind, headwind. Right? So, Swadharma is tailwind. Number one. Right? It's your nature. Swadharma is nothing but your bundle of asanas, your likes and dislikes. Predominant likes and dislikes. So what he's saying is, choose a field of activity which is in line with Swadharma. Okay. Which is in line with your nature, Swadharma. Don't choose a field of activity which is paradharmic in nature. Somebody else's, even though there is lot of money, lot of appreciation, lot of perks, etc. Don't do that. Right? The typical example that Swamiji gives in the book also, if you see, is doctor parents starting a dispensary, right, and establishing it over 5 to 10 years. And their only son or daughter, they may also tell them somehow to become a doctor, so that they can continue the dispensary. Many other examples, not only doctor. So like that, you may be establishing, you might have established a business, and you might want your son or daughter to take the business, though they may be interested in arts or something else. Are you with me? So that Swadharma is there. So you may force them, right? And they may take it up and they may do well also. But all along, they will be terribly frustrated. And that frustration will show in all the relationships. Isn't it? In all the relationships, it will be showing. In all the functionings, day-to-day activities, it will show. Swamiji says once in some place, the parents had established a dispensary, hospital, and they forced the son to take up medicine, though he was interested in automobile engineering. Right? And the fellow applied himself in medicine and he became a doctor. Right? And while he is in the hospital, many times others are searching for him. Where is he? Suddenly he is missing. Then they find him lying underneath the ambulance repairing it. Because that's where his heart is. You understand? So what he's trying to say is, how do you not come under the dominion of likes and dislikes? He's explaining. At the same time, don't get frustrated. And you should achieve success and peace. Productivity and peace. So what he's saying is, choose a field of activity in line with your Swadharma. Number one. Just now he said you should not come under the dominion of likes and dislikes. But he said choose a field of likes and dislikes. So you should not get confused. Understand what he's saying in the previous shloka and this shloka. Then you will get the message what he's trying to say. So what he's saying is, having chosen a field of activity according to your Swadharma, your like, bulk of your like, within the field, don't act on your likes and dislikes. Within the field. Like you've chosen a particular field, subject, engineering. Right? And in engineering, let's say there is one particular subject which you don't like. No. Once you have chosen a field, in that field, even if there are certain discomforts you don't like, you should follow that. You should bring in that discipline. Are you with me? Within that field. Like you would like to become a sportsman. Right? And you might have natural talent also. But you don't like warming up. You don't like warming up. And when you go and play the sports, suddenly you may develop some injury. Are you with me? So therefore he says, within the field, you should be going along with your buddhi. The field you choose can be according to your, not can be, should be, according to your swadharma. But within the field, don't act on your likes and dislikes. If you do, then you will not achieve anything. You know, after 2001 September air attack, in one lecture when I was addressing the youngsters, I was talking about Swadharma and Paradharma. And this youngster told me that he wanted to choose aeronautical engineering. And after that air attack, there was a terrible fall in the airline business. And his uncle is working for a particular airlines as an engineer. He's an aeronautical engineer. He is telling, don't choose aeronautical engineering, while this fellow is very much interested in that field. So he said, sir, you are telling I should choose Swadharma. I also want to choose that only, but my uncle also, who's been, in this field, he's telling me I should not choose. And he is a well-wisher of mine. He's not going to definitely guide me wrongly. So I am confused, what should I do? Then I said, your uncle is definitely not wrong, he's correct. What he's saying is there is less scope in aeronautical engineering. So don't choose that. Choose a field where there is more scope. Paradharma, well established, all this. Right? So then I said, please understand, you've got to reconcile what I am saying or Gita is saying and what your uncle is saying. You choose a field of activity which is your Swadharma, that is in this case aeronautical engineering. But within the field, you should not have likes and dislikes. When he says scope is less means what? You got to be the top, cream, isn't it? Otherwise you will not be selected. Are you with me? So therefore you got to be a specialist there. When you become sugar, ants will seek you. You don't have to seek the ants. So sugar has crystallized itself with sweetness. So you got to crystallize yourself with aeronautical engineering. With single pointed application. You become a specialist, especially in engineering. We have the books, syllabus it covers, and then we have guides. Engineering guides are there. And then reference books are there. And reference books are usually of the size of pillow. You understand? You have to go to the library or you can buy. Many fellows read only the guide. You read the guide, you can score well, you can get marks. You will find very few people reading the reference books. All the reference books that is given will be used as pillows, many fellows. But you got to, within the field, get liberally educated. Your attitude should not be servile. Servile means, if I do this, what will I get? Will I get a job? Will I get this much salary? What will be my perks? Etc. Don't worry about all that. Give yourself in that field completely. Don't get attached. Lose yourself. Are you with me? Without attachment. Then what? Everything will come to you. Because you will become sugar. Ants will seek you. You don't have to seek job. Jobs will seek you. I told him that he went and studied in Canada and is doing very well now. Right? So, Swadharme Nidanam Shreyaha Paradharmo Mayavaha. It is fraught with fear. Never get into Paradharma because it is appreciated by many people. You are able to make a little more money. You are going after comfort. In other words, what he is trying to say is, do not sell the Jesus Christ within for few silver coins. All of us have sold. Our life is for sale. Bech diya. That is what they say, no? For that ad. What is that? Apps that are there nowadays. Ola, no, not Ola, OLX. OLX में बेच दिया. You understand? We have sold. हम भी हमारा life को बेच दिया. We have mortgaged our life. We should get back our life and live. Continue.
Arjuna uvacha adhakena prayuktoyam papam charati purushaha anichannapi vashneya baladiva niyojitaha.
Now this topic from 36 to 39 is talking about impediments to right action. What are the impediments to right action he is addressing in this topic. from 36 to 39. So here Arjuna is asking the question. So he says, Arjuna Uvacha. What did he ask? What did he ask to Sri Krishna? He says, O Varsneya, O Krishna, but by what impel does man commit sin, though against his wish? What is this? What is this forcing a person to do something which he doesn't want to do? He knows it's wrong. Like he said, even a man of knowledge does it, likes and dislikes, all that. He's wanting more clarification. So saying, but by what impelled does man commit sin? Atakena prayuktoyam papam charati purusha. Papam, word sin means agitation, mental agitation. Remember that. Right? So he says, but what impelled does man commit sin? Meaning does an action against his own wish and gets agitated. I wish I didn't do it. I wish the third gulab jamun I didn't eat. You understand? So all of us do an action and then regret. Right? So therefore he says, what is that forcing us to do this? Constrained as it were by force. Baladivan seems to be very strong. Baladivan yojitaha, he says, constrained as it were by force. What is this? He's asking. He wants to know about it so that, he's a man of action. A man of action will go find the enemy and kill. You understand? We should have the spirit of Arjuna, especially when we want to find the truth. Right? One of the qualifications of the student is mumukshatva. Mumukshatva means ardent desire to liberate. When you press a person's head under the water surface, what will that person do? He will do anything to come out of it, because he has to live now. So, like that, you have tremendous desire to liberate. You will do anything to get out of that. That burning desire to liberate should be there in the qualified student cases. Adishankar. So therefore, Arjuna is like that. No, he is a Kshatriya. They will go find out and then kill. Because, like for example, tuberculosis, supposing somebody gets, and they give medication. Nowadays it can be cured. And they give you medication for, I think, 6 months or 8 months or 9 months. There's a time period, But as you take the medication for a few months, you will feel much better, you will be fine. So they caution you, you should not stop. You should go through the course, the entire course. Why? The traces of bacteria will be left and they will come back. 1 becomes 2, bacteria multiplies, no? 1 becomes 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, it goes on. Right? Therefore, you got to go and finish it, not leave it. If you leave it, it will come back. That's why in the second chapter which we saw last year, he says, till you reach the self, you cannot afford to stop it. And after you reach the self, you won't stop. Why? I already explained to you. Negatives will not breed when it is exposed to the sun. Thereafter you will continue selfless activity. So this is what he is saying in 36. Continue. Arjuna asked, now Sri Krishna will answer.
Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Kama Isha Krodha Esha Rajo Guna Samudbhavaha Mahashanu Mahapapma Vidyena Miha Vairinam.
Sri Bhagavan Uvacha, the Blessed Lord said. He replied to Arjuna. See, the entire Gita is in the form of a Q&A session. The word educate means to eke out, to draw out. You understand? You got to ask question and draw the knowledge out. Wisdom comes from within. Knowledge comes from without. Information you gather from outside. But transformation you can bring about only through your own personal efforts. Understand? A teacher can only give you information. But you got to take the guidance from the teacher and you put in the effort to bring about the transformation. Right? So he says, Arjuna, you asked what is the force that is constraining as it were. He straight away says it is desire. He says it is desire. Kama esha, krodha esha. See, krodha means anger. Kama means desire. Kama, krodha are always nothing but desire multiplies. Increases or multiplies or modifies. You understand? So one desire becomes more and more, gets intensified, or it modifies into something else. When a desire is fulfilled, what happens? You want more. Greed comes. When the desire is fulfilled, there is one more thing comes. What? Bhaya. That it will be taken away from you. What you have achieved. And when the desire is interrupted, the thought current that goes from you to the object, the desire. We have already discussed how the desire comes. Ignorance of the self makes you identify with this body, mind, intellect due to ignorance. And you created a void which is imaginary. You feel you are limited. And to fulfill that void, your thoughts run to the world. And the thoughts further running more and more becomes desire and then action, etc. Right? So, when the desire that is running from you to the object, somebody comes in between, then the thought gets deflected towards that person. That is anger. So, anger is nothing but deflected thought current. So, if you want to overcome anger, you got to analyze the desire and overcome that. Are you with me? Unless and until you analyze the desire and overcome, you can do many methods. It won't work. May temporarily work. But permanently, if you want to get rid of anger, you got to go to the desire which is within you. So he says it is desire, it is anger. Means all different modifications, born of the quality of rajas. That active, passionate quality that is there in all of us. The amount of rajas that is present, that is what is making you do this. You know that it's coming from there. Rajas, desires, passion comes from there. So he says, Rajo Guna Samudbhava. And then he says, Maha Ashana, Maha Papma. Maha Ashana means it is all devouring. You know, mind, desire is compared with fire. Fire, how much ever the fire consumes, it will never say, I am contented. Fire wants more and more and more. Somebody who attends my session every time he comes from US, in Delhi, he told me once when forest fire came in LA, forest fire was coming on the other side, and you have this huge highway, right? There are 4 lanes this side, 4 lanes that side, and service lane and all that. So it's quite broad. So he said the forest fire from there jumped, and this side of the road is there, hospitals, houses and everything is there. So the forest fire from that side jumped this side and started burning the hospitals and everything. So fire is never satisfied. It wants more and more and more. Similarly, your desires is never ever satisfied. You want more and more and more. So he says it is Maha Ashana, all devouring and all sinful. It will make you do and then make you get agitated. Right? See, desire, the moment you have a desire, it is potential agitation. Because you don't know whether you will fulfill it. Desire means you have to fulfill now, but you don't know whether you will fulfill it. And secondly, by chance you fulfill it, you don't know whether it will be taken away from you. Right? And the desire multiplies, you will be in constant agitation. The moment you give in to your desires, you will be in agitation. It is all sinful. Maha Ashana, Maha Papma. Know this to be the foe here. Vidyena miha vairinam. Vidyenam iha vairinam. He used the word paripanta. Now he is saying vairinam, which means again enemy. So the enemy is who? Your own desire, not outside. Continue.
Sir, that day when you explained us the yajna metaphor, there fire was Brahman. And the
That is in a different context.
No, I'm getting confused.
I said mind is equated to fire in that sense. See, in any example, one aspect is comparable, or few aspects are comparable, not all aspects. You understand? When we say Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel was as strong as iron, his mind was as strong as iron. Therefore, he was called as Iron Man. Right? Now you have another Iron Man from the Marvel stories. Right? Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel was called as Iron Man. So you can't come and ask, will he melt during summer? You understand? One aspect or few aspects are comparable. So in that context there, fire represents divinity. Here we say, usually mind is compared with monkey because it doesn't stay in one place. Asthira Chanchala keeps on jumping from one place to another. And mind is compared with fire also because it consumes and not satisfied in that sense. Okay? So he says, know this to be the foe here, the enemy here. You got to conquer that enemy. When he says foe, especially to enemy, what is he trying to say? Finish that fellow, which is sitting within. Then you worry about the outside fellow. Continue. 38.
Tumena priyate vannihi yathadarsho malina cha yatulbena prito garpaha tatha tenidamavritam.
Here he is explaining how the desires cloud the self within. Right? And there are three types of desires that he talks about. Three types of desire at the level of sattva, rajas and tamas. There is a sattvic desire covering the self, rajasic desire covering the self, tamasic desire covering the self. So for all these three desires, he is giving analogies, comparing to make us understand how they are covering, how much effort one needs to put in, how much importance we need to give, time and effort to overcome that. As fire is covered by smoke. Dhume na vriyate vanhi. He says, as fire is covered by smoke. One example, analogy. Then, as mirror by dust. And then, as an embryo is covered by the womb, child in the womb. So is this covered by it. So is this meaning Atma, the self, is covered by it. This word it means desire. And this means Atma. Sometimes it can be interpreted as, this could be interpreted as wisdom also. And why this? That Delhi, this Chandigarh. That Chandigarh, this PhD Chamber of Commerce building. That building, this auditorium. That auditorium, this table. That table, this chair. That table, this body. That body, this mind. That mind, this intellect. That intellect, this vasanas. That vasanas, this Atma. Uske baad there is no that Atma and nothing else. So the closest is this you, the Atma. And it is covered by these desires. How? He says, sattvic desires, like desire to gain knowledge of the self. Desire to serve a guru. Serve your guru. All these, serve your parents. All these desires, sattvic, good desires, right? Unselfish. They are covering the self like smoke covering fire. Now the beauty is, when you see the smoke, you can see the fire little bit. And a passing breeze can take away the smoke and fire becomes more visible. Similarly, even in a person who has the sattvic desires, in him or her, the vicinity of the self is very much there. You understand? It's there, you can see it. Divinity manifesting through them, they can also see it. Right? And then, rajasic desire. Rajasic desire, he gives example of dust covering the mirror. Now, dust is covered, it is settled there very well. Now, if you just blow it, it is not going to go. You need to take a duster and wipe it. And when the dust is covering, the reflection is not clear. Right? So, in the Rajasic desires, the self is not seen. The Sattvic it is seen. Right? But you still have that direction towards the self. Whereas in the Rajasic, it's lost. And not only that, you need to put a little more effort to wipe it. Are you with me? It's not enough just passing, little bit guidance from the Guru, little bit reading, reflecting is not enough. You need to apply sadhana, everything. Everything is there. Then tamasic desire. Tamasic desire is comparing with child in the womb. Takes 9 months for it to come out. You have to wait. Right? So you got to continue doing your sadhana, study, reflection, everything and wait patiently, and it completely covers the self. You can't see it whatsoever. So you have to put in more effort with reference to tamasic desire. So he says the sattvic, rajasic, tamasic desires cover the self. You need to continue putting in your effort and overcome these desires. It is these desires that is covering the self. It is these desires that is covering the wisdom. Your wisdom is overpowered by that. Ravana was an extremely knowledgeable person. You understand? But his wisdom was overpowered. There is a poem by William Cowper. It's called Pineapple and the Bee. He says, a pineapple vendor had cut the pineapples beautifully and arranged them in triple rows. 3 rows, And he covered it up with a glass case. Otherwise the flies will go, no? So he covered it up with glass case and he was selling the pineapples. And a bee saw the pineapples and trying to enter, but the glass case is there. Transparent, bee couldn't decide for that there is an obstacle, wants to go and eat it, meaning the bee has not paid the price. Bee doesn't deserve to eat it. Karma is there, law of karma, right? So transparent glass is there. But bee thought, I will fulfill my desire. You get what you deserve, not what you desire. So the bee tried to enter, failed. Half the day it wasted in it and then turned other way, he says. And then he gives example of 2 more people. One fellow who is a ordinary citizen and poor fellow is walking on the road, and while he is walking on the opposite side he sees the princess of the kingdom is being carried in a palanquin. And the curtain of the palanquin is little bit moving in the breeze, and in the gap he is seeing the princess, and then he desires the princess. Right? No qualification whatsoever in any sense, but he desires. Right? And he compares the plight of the bee and with this fellow. And then there is a maid who goes to a mall, right? 17th sector. And then sees all the stuff there, right? And then size of empty pocket. So 3 examples. And then he says, our dear delights are often such, exposed to view but not to touch. And then he beautifully says, that is what I am coming to. The sight our foolish heart inflames. The sight our foolish heart inflames. All you need to do is just see or hear, and then starts. The fire becomes a spark, becomes a conflagration. So he says, the sight our foolish heart inflames, we long for pineapples in flames. With hopeless wish one looks and lingers. One breaks the glass and cuts his fingers. But they whom truth and wisdom lead can gather honey from the wheat. It's a beautiful poem. See, like this, there are many poems that Swamiji has selected. These are all not written by Swamiji, written by many other poets. And he selected them and has given beautiful Vedantic philosophical commentary for those poetry. So it's not only useful for children, it's useful for us also. Right? So it's there in the books counter, published, counter there outside. You can go and look at it and have, if you want, you can get it. It helps, it helps you reading and reflect. Just getting and keeping in your cupboard will not help. That's what he's saying. The sight our foolish heart inflames. The desire is inside and object is outside, and they come together, that's it. Understand? That's it, you're finished. So he says, these desires are covering the wisdom. Then you go, 9. Continue.
Avritam jnanametena jnanino nitya vairina kamarupena kaunteya dushpurena nalena cha.
O Kaunteya, O Kunti Putra Arjuna, wisdom is covered by this constant enemy. Now he's saying constant enemy. You understand? All this time he's been saying enemy, enemy, enemy. Now he's saying constant enemy. Who's within you, it doesn't go. The dal, which is there, is not going. You tried your best. Lemon, hala, pata nahi kya kya try kiya. It is not going. You understand? Therefore he says, it is stuck. It is constantly sitting there. So he says, O Kaunteya, wisdom is covered by this constant enemy. You have developed it so many years, so many janmas. You've pampered, you put mirchi masala into it. It's now very well settled. Right? So he says, enemy of the wise. Wise means learned person. You know, you just read all this, and as soon as we get out, we get caught in our desire. It's so powerful. See, these desires are too powerful. You understand? You should not take it easy. I can handle it. You see, many people, they are so addicted to alcohol, cigarette, and many things. I can give it up whenever I want. You know, there's one very interesting quotation somebody says. Very easy to give up smoking. I've done it many times. It's very easy to giving up smoking. I've done it many times. See, the more egoistic we are, slighting the power of the desires, we will only be foolish. Vali in Ramayana, you know, he had that boon that anyone who comes in front of him, 50% of their strength will go to him. You understand? So, if you are the chairman, you have 80% share, let's say. 40% will go to him. And if he already had 2-3%, he will be the chairman. You understand? So, when you come in front of Vali, you have to be careful. So Lord Rama shot Vali, hiding behind the tree. And this is very highly criticized. It has a symbolism. You understand? Tree represents knowledge. Tree doesn't discriminate. Oh, you are a Kshatriya, you are coming under the tree, I won't give you shade. Only Brahmins I give shade. Shudra I don't give shade. You are a man, I will not give you. Only women I give. Nothing like that. Tree doesn't discriminate. It gives shelter to anyone who comes under it. Similarly, whoever comes under the protection of Shastra, scriptures, it gives them solace, it gives them guidance, direction. So tree represents knowledge. So you got to hide behind the knowledge and then shoot the Vali desires. Otherwise you will be finished. You understand? So without knowing this, without knowing the importance of knowledge which strengthens the intellect, we are constantly dealing with the desires and getting pulverized. Sugriva goes 2-3 times, to fight. Lord Rama says, you go and fight, I will kill Sugriva. Vali. And they both look alike, they are twins. And Lord Rama is confused by mistake, he should not choose Sugriva. And in the meantime, when he goes and confronts, he is pulverized. His bones and everything is packed in a packet and given. Take it back. Next time you come, direct Asti. You understand? Nothing else. Only few bones I gave. Next time, that's it. You will be finished. So like that happens many times. You cannot deal with desire without strengthening your buddhi with the higher knowledge. Otherwise you will be gone. You're finished. Understand? The snake, are you with me? And around the neck of Lord Shiva, will ask Garuda, the bird, eagle, white neck it has, ask, how are you? Without, supposing it's not around the neck of Lord Shiva, Garuda will finish. You understand? Similarly, we have to constantly keep the Shastra with us, knowledge. That is what will protect us. Everything is impermanent. The only thing we take with us is our amount of vasanas, sattva, rajas, tamas. Nothing you carry. Whatever winter clothing you bought this year, you won't carry it when we go from this world. Right? Nothing we carry. Supposing a person, like for example, let's say I am doing now third chapter, and after completing third chapter, something happens, God forbid, I die. It's not that next Janma I'll say, third chapter, which must say I completed, abhi I'll start from fourth chapter. You don't know all these things. The only thing you carry is your sattva, rajas, tamas. So through the knowledge, you have to put in effort to move from tamas to rajas to sattva and beyond, which is Brahman. So as much as possible, instead of doing so many other different accounts every night, every morning, how much money I got, how much I saved, how much is there in the bank, do all that for different reasons. But one account which is very important, kitna sattva I increased. Are you getting it? How much sattva I increased, how much sattva I helped others to increase. Help myself and others. Nothing else we take. Therefore, he says, O Kauntaya, this wisdom is covered by this constant enemy of the wise in the form of desire as insatiable.
Indriyani mano buddhihi asyaadhishtana muchyate yetair vimohayat yeshaha jnanamavritya dehinam.
From this verse 40 to 43, he's talking about way to overcome the impediments. What are the impediments? What is the impediment? Desire and its modifications. So how to overcome that? He gives in this last topic 42, 43. He says, Indriyani mano buddhihi. The senses, mind and intellect are said to be its seat. Veiling wisdom through these, it deludes the embodied. Now, if you want to locate the desires, where do you have to locate it? You have to locate it in these three phases. Senses, mind and intellect. We have sensual desires at the sense level, emotional desire at the mind level, and intellectual desires at the intellect level. Right? So, at all these three levels, these desires are sitting and covering. Therefore, he says they are veiling the wisdom from all these levels. So, sitting there through these, it deludes the embodied. Embodied means the reflected consciousness. The consciousness, the pure self, reflects through this body, mind, intellect and appears as if it is embodied. Strictly speaking, you cannot capture the sun in a mirror. But when the sun is reflecting through the mirror, you see the reflected sun there. So all of us are reflected consciousness. The pure consciousness, Atma, Brahman, has reflected through this body, mind, intellect. And the individual suns, individual Atmas, all of us are. Understand? So, we are all embodied by this body, mind, intellect. Right? Now, we need to escape this only through knowledge. We are not really embodied. Sun is not captured. Right? Sun is captured in the mirror. Only the reflected sun. Similarly, we are not really bound. But we feel bound and fettered because we are ignorance. So if we want to escape from this bondage, we need to gain the knowledge. Are you with me? And establish ourselves in that. And then only we become free. And also, what he's saying is, first it comes through the senses, no? I already explained this in different contexts. First the fellow comes in through the senses, the desire. The object enters through the senses, either through the eyes or ears or nose or tongue or skin. Scum. And then slowly you majaya, majaya, majaya. And then it becomes desire. Right? And once it becomes desire, you know what it does? It captures the buddhi as hostage. And buddhi should be independently taking decisions whether you like it or dislike it. Is it what I am supposed to do or not supposed to do? Independently it should take decision. But what it will do is, it will force the buddhi to give permission for it to do it. This is the problem. There's another poem called Pond. In that poem, a chick befriends ducklings. And ducklings are playing around a pond. And chick wants to go and play around the pond with the ducklings. And the mother bird of the chick is cautioning, you are okay, go and play with them, but when they enter the pond, you don't enter. Because the chick doesn't have webbed feet. The ducklings have webbed feet. They can enter the pond, they can swim and enjoy, but you will die. So the mother bird cautioned. And the chick said, okay, no problem, and the chick went. Right? And then, as the chick was playing with the ducklings, suddenly the ducklings will go enter the pond. One or two will go, few will go, they enter and they show off. They put the head inside, tail up, they do all kinds of things they do, and seeing that the chick's desire is increasing. And the chick is saying, I also would like to go, but my mother has cautioned me. You understand? So the chick is reasoning. Chick is reasoning means chicken intellect, which is not developed. Weak intellect, which is not strengthened. Chick is reasoning. And the interesting thing is, first it takes feet to analyze and misses the point. My feet. Actually the feet is the reason. Could that be the reason why I should not jump? Actually that is the reason, but it misses it. That is what, na? And then it analyzes. Then finally it says, my beaks are pointed, their beaks are round. Is that any reason why I should be drowned? That is not the reason. Then, very interesting line it says, I am really remarkably fond of water. I am really remarkably fond of water. This desire is really too much. And as a result, not able to analyze properly. You are sitting right in front of the object of the desire and trying to analyze. You will be finished. Bali will finish you. So, what did the chick do? Ignored the mother's caution, entered the pond, perished. So the mother is the scripture. You understand? We have to help ourselves through the scriptures every day, study, reflect, strengthen our buddhi, and then deal with the desire. Otherwise, we will be finished. So he says, these enter through the senses, come to the mind, capture the buddhi, wisdom gone, then you perish. Buddhi nasha pranashyati. All gone. If intellect is gone, we are finished. Continue.
तस्मात् त्वमिन्द्रियाण्यादौ नियम्य भरतर्षभ पाप्मानं प्रजहिह्येनं ज्ञानविज्ञाननाशनम्.
Tasmat, therefore, is coming to a conclusion, logical conclusion after explaining everything. Therefore, O Bharata Rishabha, O bull among the Bharata race, Arjuna. We already explained why we worship bull. Bull takes in minimum and gives maximum. Bull is representing sacrifice. You understand? Contribution should be more than the consumption. At least the attitude should be there. Right? So he says, O Bharata Rishabha, bull among men. Controlling first the senses. Therefore, first control the senses. That's the entry point. Entry point को खत्म करो. अंदर आने के बाद मुश्किल हो जाता है. You understand? Therefore, he says, controlling first the senses. He is emphasizing the importance of sadhana. He is emphasizing the importance of satsang. Adi Shankara in Bhajagovindam says, verse number 9, Bhajagovindam. Bhajagovindam is another beautiful text by Adi Shankaracharya. We are planning to have a session on Bhajagovindam in Mohali by Rupalji, and all of you try to attend that. as many people as possible. You can also spread the awareness, right? So, Bhajagovindam has only 31 slokas by Adi Shankaracharya. In that, in the 9th shloka, he says, Satsangatve Nisangatvam Nisangatve Nirmohatvam Nirmohatve Nishchalatatvam Nishchalatatve Jivan Mukti. First is satsang. Satsang means good company. Entry point ko band karo. Good company at all levels. Sense level, what book you read, what people you meet with, what kind of thoughts you are encouraging. Sab kuch you got to take care. Right? So he says entry point. Therefore, oh Bharata Rishabha, you are like a bull, you are a very strong person. You can do it. He says controlling first the senses. Without controlling the senses, if we get into reading the books, it will not help. It's a problem. You understand? You got to have some kind of a discipline environment, some kind of a discipline within to gain the knowledge. Otherwise it's mushkil. That's what I say. You need to kill this sinful destroyer of knowledge and wisdom. This is a very big problem. Jnana vijnana nachana. It will kill you. Firstly, it will be difficult for you to gain the information also. It's like, I'll tell you what happened to me when I was doing my 10th standard. Final exam, they give you time to prepare, right? 1 or 2 months time they give you to prepare. A lot of holidays they give you to prepare. Study holidays. And 50 over match, those days used to start at 9 o'clock in the morning, daytime, day match. My mother was working as a teacher. My sister has gone to school. My father passed away many years ago, so just 3 of us. My mother used to go to school to teach. My sister has gone to her school. I was free. 9 o'clock, I am studying. 8:30 they put the toss. So till then I am studying, and my mind is saying, just see the toss and find out who's batting. India batting or who's batting? Then no yaar. Then chalo switch on karo yaar. Then I switched on. No, nobody is there. Okay, switch on kar diya. Then India wins the toss. Which means what? India is going to bat. And those days 15 overs restriction. Now I don't know, some rules have changed. 10 or 15, whatever. First 15 overs is the time, and the restricted field placing and all that is there, and these fellows hit. And especially Krishna Machari, Srikant. He used to hit the balls like anything. Whatever good ball also he hit, doesn't matter. Either he late or he get out. You understand? So, 15 overs I'll see. I'll tell myself, only 15 overs. And then I end up seeing the entire Indian innings. Then, quickly I'll eat lunch. My mother comes home for lunch. The school was nearby. Then she goes, Abhi, let me just see what is the score. How they are chasing. And I end up watching the whole match. I remember the whole match. And then get agitated. Baba, I have not studied or anything. So that is what he's saying. This skill, firstly you can't gain information also. This sinful destroyer of knowledge and wisdom is a very big danger. This is. You got to deal with this. You understand? Otherwise you are finished. You should therefore deal with it properly. So therefore he is emphasizing the sadhana part. It's continuing. Right? Sadhana, discipline is very important. In the book Fall of the Human Intellect, Swamiji, I think Fall of the Human Intellect or Holocaust of Attachment. In one of the books he mentions, he says, while we are trying to develop the intellect, if the environment is licentious, everything is available, it's a very sad plight, you will definitely get involved. You got to strengthen the intellect and deal with it. So therefore he says discipline is very important. Continue.
Indriyani paranyahu indriyebhyah param manah manasastu para buddhi yo buddhi paratastu saha.
The senses are said to be great. They are very powerful. Greater than the senses is the mind. Mind is subtler than the senses. Right? See that the senses are pushing us towards the sense objects. They are also powerful. Right? This muscle memory, in sports they tell you, you've learnt a certain shot, cricket or something, in in a wrong way. How much ever the right technique is taught, muscle memory is there, you end up playing the wrong shot. So the senses are said to be great. Greater than the senses is mind. Mind controls the senses. And greater than the mind is intellect, buddhi. Indriyani param yahu, indriyevya param manaha, manasastu para buddhi. Yo buddhe paratastu saha. You should know which is subtle. Compared to the senses, mind is subtle. Subtle means more pervasive and has the ability to control. Mind pervades more than the senses, right? And it controls the senses. And similarly, mind, when you compare mind with intellect, intellect is subtler. Intellect controls the mind, intellect is more pervasive. And then compared to the buddhi, the Atma within is much greater, the subtlest. I told you, got to catch hold of the higher to become free from the lower. That's what he's explaining beautifully. So the senses are said to be great. Greater than the senses is the mind. Greater than the mind is the intellect. That which is greater than the intellect is He. You understand? He means Atma, the self within. Right? So, usko pakdo. Through the help of Shastra, through the help of scriptures, knowledge, study, reflect. So therefore he says, this is taken from Kathopanishad, this shloka, right? And then he explains, he says, this is subtler than that is subtler than that. Finally, what is the subtlest? The Atma. When you know this is gross, how do you become free from the gross? You got to move to the subtle. See, if you want to become free from the desire at the sense level, you got to start moving towards the emotional. You know, you may be liking a particular chocolate, Godaiva. You understand? Godaiva chocolate, maybe you like, or some other chocolate you may like. And then you want to eat it, and your child says, there's only one, and your child says, I want it. Right? You give the chocolate to your child, and chocolate she wants fully, not half. So you give it, and the child is enjoying the chocolate, you are getting subtler bliss, emotional bliss. You understand? When you start experiencing the emotional bliss, you can come out of gross. When you are experiencing similarly intellectual, you find many scientists and all, they're so deeply involved in research and all that, they've forgotten about meals. Gulge. You understand? The senses, the emotion, they've forgotten about wishing their wife. You understand? Happy birthday, happy anniversary, all that. So they are more deeper. You understand? So you got to attune yourself to the subtler realms. And then, when you get finally established in the self, you will become free. He gives one more last shloka.
Yevam buddhe param buddhva samstabhyatmanam jahi shatrum mahabaho kamarupam durasadam.
He says Shatru here. Shatru means enemy. 4 Paripanti now. And then Vairinam, Nitya Vairinam, Shatru. 4 words he used, which means enemy. Thus knowing that which is greater than the intellect, which is Atma, the self, and restraining the self by the self. He's talking about sadhana, self-control. Restraining the self by the self. Restraining the lower self with the higher self. With intellect identifying with the buddhi, you control the mind and senses. Oh Mahabaho, oh mighty armed Arjuna, you are a great personality. You've conquered many battles outside. This is not very difficult. And then he says, kill Jai Shatrum Mahabaho. Kill that enemy. The moment you tell Arjuna, kill the enemy, his hand is already gone to the sword. Where is he? He says, within you, in the form of Kama. Kama Rupam Durasadam. Kill the enemy in the form of desire. Hard to conquer. He's telling hard to conquer. Don't take it easy. Don't take it easy. Right? You got to put in effort. So he's saying, firstly, realize the self within is greater than the buddhi. First point. That's the subtlest. Understand that. And then restrain the self by the self. In short, what he's saying is, maintain sadhana, discipline at all levels, and gain the knowledge. When you gain the knowledge, that will help you to maintain sadhana even better. Like when you ride a bicycle, you press one pedal, the other pedal comes up. You press that, the other comes up. They supplement and complement each other. You cannot try to gain the knowledge without sadhana discipline, without sense control. Understand? Only sense control without knowledge also will not help. Therefore, they have to go hand in hand like that. That is what he said. So he's kind of giving us a formula. What is that formula? Sadhana S, or sadhana S plus knowledge K. S plus K underlined by capacity. Do it according to your capacity. Don't do it too much. Right? And do it consistently. Circled by big C. So S sadhana plus K knowledge underlined by small c capacity, circled by big C consistently. Do it consistently. Don't worry about the result. Am I developing? How much spiritual I have become? Next year when we come for next session, do you think I will evolved or not? How much I have evolved? Let me analyze. Don't get involved. Just be in the struggle. You understand? So therefore he says, both has to go hand in hand. Sadhana will promote knowledge. Knowledge will promote sadhana. Together they will promote wisdom. Then you will conquer the Kshatru within, enemy, and you will realize that self will get established. This is the way to go. So with this beautifully he is explained why you should act, the importance of action, the value of action, then the technique of right action, impediments to action, how to overcome the action. We all should learn this, master it, implement and succeed in life. Right? With that we have come to the conclusion of this chapter 3. Reading chapter 3 we have come to conclusion. Right? Om Tat Sat Iti Srimad Bhagavad Gita Upanishatsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Sri Krishna Arjuna Samvade Karma Yogo Nama Tritiyo Dhyayaha. Om Tat Sat. See, it's traditional and auspicious to start with Om and end with Om. Right? So, Om Tat Sat. Om represents the truth. Om is not a word, it's a sound. Represents the divinity within, the consciousness that pervades the waking, dream, deep sleep states of consciousness. Right? If you have 2 minutes more, I'll explain that. When you say where is the sound coming from? Throat. Middle range. It's coming from the depth. Right? Now, when you say your mouth is fully open. When you say your mouth is semi-open. It's fully closed. Right? When you are in deep sleep, you have not manifested yet the desires. Right? So, fully closed. So, represents deep sleep. Right? And the vasanas manifest little bit in the subtle body in the dream. In the dream only subtle body, causal body and Atma is there. Gross body is not there. So, represents dream. Right? And when you open your mouth, fully, means fully woken up state, waking state, which you are in now, I believe so. Right? So the waking state, dream state and deep sleep state, in all of these 3 states the consciousness pervades, the self pervades. Deep sleep is self plus vasanas. Dream is self plus vasanas plus subtle body. Waking state is self plus vasanas plus subtle body plus gross body. Okay? So the Om represents the divinity, the consciousness that pervades all the 3 states of consciousness and beyond. Are you with me? And that is real. Tat Sat. That alone is real. And then he says, thus, in the Upanishads of the glorious Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is the milk drawn from the Upanishad. One of the lectures I told. So, Upanishads of the glorious Bhagavad Gita, the science of eternal. What is Bhagavad Gita talking about? Eternal versus ephemeral. The science beautifully presents in scientifically. So it says the science of the eternal. The scripture of yoga, what does it do? It helps you to unite. Yoga comes from the root yuj, which means to unite back to the origin, the self. So it's the scripture of yoga, and it is given in the form of a dialogue between Sri Krishna and Arjuna, the Guru and Sishya. The dialogue between Sri Krishna and Arjuna ends the third chapter entitled the Yoga of Action. That's what he said. Right? For every chapter he will say like this. So we have concluded only going through the chapter externally. The chapter has to go through us and make us transform. Till then we got to hold on the Shraddha. He explains Shraddha. Right? Therefore, what we say with humility, we have only begun. We have not concluded. With that humility, we will all chant verse number 1 of chapter 3 together.
Arjuna uvacha jayasi chet karmanaste mata buddhi janardana tathim karmani ghore mam niyojayasi keshava.
See, like I said, we have only started a small effort. Now we have to continue. Somebody has lit the lamp. You got to make sure the lamp glows continuously. You got to keep on pouring the oil, changing the wick, and all that you got to continuously do. Right? Till you burn the entire wick, the ego. Are you with me? So therefore, you must continue studying. So that we have weekly classes here, conducted by Rupalji here. In many places, they are trying to start something in Mohali. And Sahiba is trying also to see if something can be started in Mohali. And I think there are few people interested in doing some classes in Panchkula also. At the moment, both the classes are in Chandigarh. Both in Chandigarh. So if you want to start something in Chandigarh or Panchkula or Mohali, you also put in effort, try to find more like-minded people and start these classes. Right? And Sahiba had a request before the class. She said, "So why don't you come little frequently instead of once in a year?" Last year we did it in March. This year we are doing November. We are planning to come in October or November every year for doing the next chapter, Yajna. But she said, in between, if you can come, we can have a retreat or some kind of event for youngsters and adults and everybody. We could have something like parenting retreat or leadership retreat or something like that we could do. So she said, "Sir, please announce in the class." That's why I'm announcing that other people also, if they come together, if we all coordinate and do, help, all of us come together and help Rupal and all of us do it in the spirit of cooperative endeavor, we can do a lot more work. If such a thing you all do, I'm willing to come. I'm not far away, I'm in Delhi only. I can definitely come. Please think in that direction. Yeah. Now we have a small ceremony. There'll be a few announcements. We have a small ceremony. We'll be giving you the Guru Prasad. Right? That's a tradition. So please just wait. It will take hardly 10 minutes.